Welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan Big Tex Johnson, a.k.a. Professor Tex, a.k.a. Uncle Tex. As you guys pretty much well know by now, because we saw last week with that of the Eagles and whatnot, they brought in Jalen Hurts to replace that of Carson Wentz. And Jalen Hurts will be named the starter coming up to this week's game. No surprise here. No surprise here at all. Over here at ETFB. I've told you guys on several different occasions, in fact, a couple of different shows I made last year before last, speaking about Carson Wentz and how this kid basically came from out of nowhere, right? And I said, Carson Wentz needs to start showing his work. It even did a show back about how Nick Foles is nothing more than a relief pitcher and brought up things about these particular guys and whatnot. The thing about with Carson Wentz, but I also told you something, and I said in one of the last things when I said, whereas Carson Wentz going to have to start showing that he's about something and whatnot. And again, mind you, I think Carson Wentz is a solid. I think he's a good quarterback. That year before he got hurt, he was going to be the MVP. He was going to be All-Pro first team. He did all of that. He did everything. I said, okay, this kid's the real deal, and I think he is the real deal. But this is where the problem comes in at with him at this particular point in time. And whatnot. And I told you when I was talking about Carson Wentz last year about he needs to start showing improving and all this kind of coming into 2019 and everything like that. And they gave him that fat contract and everything like that. I said he needs to show what he's doing because, in my opinion, because I used to work with a guy who's a big Philly fan from out of North Philly, and I said the kid reminds me of Jim Everett. And for those who are probably in their mid 40s and older, remember Jim Everett. I remember Jim because I was in high school. I was in high school when Jim Everett was playing. All right, when he came, Ronnie came in the league. I think I came in the league when I was a senior in high school or whatever. So he first came in the league from out of Purdue. I remember him playing at Purdue. Right, he had a solid good year and stuff like that. I guess he did a good combine and all that. And the similarities are eerie at best. You know what I'm saying? Eerie, right? And I've talked about this before. Like I said, for you guys of other age, look it up. Like I tell you guys, numbers don't lie, get emotional. People do, right? But here we go. And I said he reminds me of him. And this is the quick story of Jim Everett coming out of Purdue. Now I take the stats now. Everett came into the league at 23, but he only started. So everything with me is a minimum is in double digits. In other words, when I start comparing and dealing with quarterbacks and whatnot, I start with them of double digits. So these have the minimum of 10 games. Right, I'm not dealing with a quarterback that played 4 or 5 games. So he only started 4 or 5 games his rookie year when he came in at 23. Wentz came in at 24. So I'm comparing ages from age 24 to 27. And I'm not even dealing with this year as far as anything is dealing with Wentz right now. Right, I'm just dealing with age 24, 25, 26, and 27. Basically the first 4 years or so of them really starting, as well as dealing with that of Jim Everett. Now, what people don't realize about Everett comes in, they go 5 and 6 and whatnot. And 5 and 6 and the 11 starts that he had got. Now, Everett started making his bones in 88 and 89. They was in the NFC. West and whatnot. That's when the 49ers ruled the roost. They came in second 2 years in a row behind them. Went to the playoffs. Everett led the league 2 years in a row. Right, 31 touchdowns, 29 touchdowns. Right, he led the league 2 years in a row at that particular thing. You're talking about someone that went. At that particular time frame, they went 22-11 and got to the NFC Conference Championship game against the 49ers, right? But this is where everything started going downhill for Jim Everett, right? This is when everything started going down for Jim Everett. He was under so much pressure that day, so much pressure that he went back to pass and Charles Haley hadn't even came faking and all them guys hadn't even touched him as of yet. And he just fell down on the ground. They call it the phantom sack, right? And from that point on, and that's when you would have a guy like Jim Rome. For those who know about Jim Rome, Bernie used to have a show back in the day and whatever. And he basically was clowning him. And then he called him. Then he ended up calling him Chris Everett, liking him to a girl who's a professional, great tennis player and stuff like that. And Everett pulled over the table and all this other kind of stuff like that. He did all of that, provoking the dude that he was basically soft, that he was, that he was shell shocked, right? Which brings me, and from that time on, after that 11-5 season, he never saw a double-digit season in wins again. and wins again. He had a good year that next year. Went to the Pro Bowl, I guess. Went to 5-11, threw for almost 4,000 yards and 23 touchdowns. But all the team never had a winning season after that again. That in 89. In 88 and 89, 89 was his last winning season, and that's the time, like I said, when the Rams went to that, went to the NFC Championship game and got blowed out basically by the 49ers. And Everett career, and that particular, they called it shell shock. I called it what is known now as PTSD, as post-traumatic stress disorder, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I was like, never being the same again, and basically finishing his career at 64 and 89, right? Now, let's jump forward to that of Carson Wentz. Well, I've already talked about this, like out of Dakota State or whatever, playing in that league or whatever. No take away from that. But I'm like, somebody his size, all that arm strength, I'm like that. While he wasn't playing in the big boy league, that's beyond me. I don't know, right? But that's neither here nor there. He comes in the league. They go 7-9. Now I remember back during this time because Dak came in this 2016, and I was down in Arlington or whatever when seeing Dallas play Philly and whatnot, and Dallas pulled that game out. It was a good game and everything, right? I think that was Dak's rookie year. Yeah, both of them guys' rookie years, right? He's 24 years old, 7-9. Now he went 7-9, and they was really trying to put him in the damn Hall of Fame at 7-9. I said, damn. I said, if he mess around and do something, who knows what they gonna do with this guy? Plays 13 games. He's the leading vote getter for the Hall of. I was about to say Hall of Fame. He's leading vote getter for being the MVP. He putting up these stats. He probably, if he doesn't get hurt, he's going to probably throw 40, 45 touchdowns. Philly was just that good that year. It was their year. No ifs, no ands, no buts about that particular year, right? And everything, right? But here comes this. And this is when I say when you start talking about football and everything else evolves that revolves around that and whatnot, and how this game is a thing of you have to use your head. It becomes a mental thing, and right now. So here you got a kid who got everything right. Then he gets hurt. And then his team goes on. The backup quarterback goes on, who was a quarterback a few years before that, who led them to winning the East and and went to the playoffs and all this kind of stuff like that. With that and guy can't remember that cat, Nick Foles, right? And whatnot. So this guy comes back, leads Philly to that of a Super Bowl, right? Guy never had to, his money's no good in Philly forever, right? So my man comes back. So that's one jump. But see, that's really two, because I got hurt. I said, damn, I got hurt. I was leading. I was doing all this. Okay, fine. Then they won the Super Bowl without me. I'm like, damn. And then the guy that's doing this, he was here before. I'm like, wow. So he's probably going through all of this from a mental standpoint of view. You can't tell me he's not. Right? Rushes himself back. He comes in. He comes back there in the 2018 season and everything. He comes back, okay, ready to get it on. He goes 5-6, 11 games. He misses the rest of the season. He misses the last 6 games. Foles takes him to the playoff. They win the playoff game. I think they get to the division round. And they lose or whatever like that. But they win the wild card game, and I think they lose in the division round. I want to say to that of the. I think should have been the Rams, if I'm not mistaken, right? So that ends up happening, right? Just knocks that completely out of the way, right? So and whatnot, he loses to that. So damn, he does it again. Comes back in 2019, 16 games. They start out slow. He ends up doing this thing and whatnot. He finally plays in this. They win the East. He finally plays in his first playoff game. They lose, I think, to the Seahawks and whatnot, right? His first playoff game of playing, right? And, he had a relatively good year and stuff like that. 4,039 yards, 27 touchdowns on only 7 picks. I say, the guy's really careful with the ball. He hadn't been that careless with the ball when you talk about this year compared to his rookie year, right? He already leads the league in interceptions, and he probably fumbled the ball a lot of times this year as well. So that's another hit. Now the season 3-8-1 between now you got the carnivorous virus and all that stuff going on. That sitting at 3-8-1, the NFC East is a mess. Not very good, good football being played there, but they're still basically sitting there and whatnot. And then you get taken out for that of a rookie, right? And there was already ruffles about when you got pulled when you got Jalen Hurts in the second round, right? In the second round, after you've already gotten paid this big money last year. right before last year, the season last year, right? Again, boom, that. Because I've always looked at them guys similar in build, similar in arm strength, just all that. Dude's a little bit more, he's a little bit thicker, obviously, about 25, 30 pounds heavier than what Everett was, and more mobile and more athletic. But the same type of look in their eyes and whatnot when things doesn't go there, when things doesn't really go their way. And I think he is taking this post-traumatic stress disorder. And I'm saying that from the front, he's taking a lot of shots to things is like it's bad luck, things is happening, and you got to take that because football becomes that of a serious mental game. And this young man is taking hits and taking hits, not so much sacks. I'm just talking about things that happen. I get hurt. The team wins without me. The guy comes back again, go to the playoffs again, and wins another playoff game. He redeems himself a little bit last year, go 9-7 and win the East, and then he starts in his first playoff game only to lose. So he hasn't never won a playoff game because that was his first playoff game that he played in last year. So now he's 3-8-1. Now you've got another quarterback who, like I said, Jalen Hurts take over for him, and who knows what's going to happen when they get ready to play the Saints. I mean, he's a rookie quarterback, so who knows what's going to happen. But it's like they're calling for his head. That's so I'm saying all that to say, like I said, Jim Everett never recovered. And he had that same look in his eye that I see Carson Wentz have several different times during the time when he played in different football games when things are not going well, when it's just like he loses it. He doesn't have his stuff. It's like a pitcher who can't find the strike zone no more. Or a guy used to be a sharpshooter and he can't hit the rim. He can't hit it. He doesn't have it like that. And that's why I said he's Jim Everett 2.0. And if Jalen Hurts does what he needs, I mean, it's still an opportunity for him to come and still redeem himself. Who knows what may happen? We don't know. This year has been crazy as is. I think he's a good quarterback, but I still think he's Jim Everett. I just think he's that guy. And I think Jim Everett never recovered from being sacked and pressured so much that game. And when he fell down like that, if he would have just got sacked, that would have been how he just fell down and just crumbled. If you go back, go to YouTube, look it up, you'll find it. And that stayed with him, and he never had a winning season after that ever again. He was mocked. He still played in a bunch of games, but he was never the same He was never the same quarterback that was that bright-eyed, bushy-tailed quarterback from age 24, 25, 26, and 27. 27, like I said, went 5-11, but he had a lot of yards. He was having a good year. But from winning that, and you're talking about somebody, and let me run this down before we finish up. You're talking about Jim Everett. And about 54 starts, we basically end up going 26 and 29, right? For those 3 years, though, 24, 25, 26, right? You're talking about somebody that threw 70 touchdowns and had went for those first 3 years. You're talking about somebody that went 26 and 16 or something like that. So a Pro Bowl. And you're talking about somebody, so as those years from age 24 to 27, 93 touchdowns. You go to Carson Wentz, 32 and 24 with the record, right? And what he did, right? And he would throw 97 touchdowns. So you look at the winners, 32 and 24, 26 and 28. You do the math, you go tell me if he's not 2.0. I hope he's not, just as a fan. But I'm like, these players that you see, a lot of times players are just an incarnation of another player. You've seen them before, but you might have seen them in the 60s. You might have seen them in the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, the aughts, the mid to 10s, and where we at now. It's like guys have that same type of thing. Man, that guy reminds me of this guy. So that's the thing about with him. I said that in his second year, I said this guy is Jim Everett 2.0. I just felt because I seen different games. I said who does he remind me of? Because some players just remind you of other players, and that's just it. Like I was telling you about Derrick Henry, he's reminding me of Jim Brown. He was like the Jim Brown of the era, just how he was just bullying guys, right? That's what Jim Brown was doing. Jim Everett, these players are similar, and this is what's happening right here with this right now, and this is what we're talking about. And like I said, Carson Wentz, he don't get it if he doesn't get it together. Like I said, I honestly think. Like I said, they say my man was shell-shocked. Post-traumatic stress disorder is what ended up literally ending, in my opinion, Jim Everett's career. And if Carson Wentz don't get it together, he's going to be that same because all of those mental things that happened to him, all the obstacles and stuff, and just say, man, it seems like stuff is just not going right. That will wear on a man, and that will wear on a young man as well. in his quest for trying to become a very good quarterback and show his way that, yo, I'm a part of this, because he has a ring, but he doesn't feel like he's a part because he's a starting quarterback and you're supposed to lead your team to victory. Okay? That's a little something over here. I might be back a little bit later on. I probably got to talk to y'all about Jadeveon Clowney. I told y'all about that too. I tell you guys out there, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel and whatnot, and talk about some things, leave some comments down. This is really from my man Hoghead Cheese. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to my man Hoghead and everything like that. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, yeah, he gonna be fine. I think he'll be all right. He's cool as a cucumber. Just look at his demeanor, even how he handled the whole Alabama situation. Cool. I say that's what's needed. You have to have that type of demeanor in this game when you go to that next level. That's why I say that he's a steal. You know, but like I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't. There is no GOAT. There's no greatest of all time as long as time is still going on. And I tell you guys all the time, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. I catch y'all jokers later.